made a video actually fishing in weeks and weeks and weeks. So now we got to do that, I think. So we're gonna ask the professional. What do you think about? What do you think they're gonna bite today?
Minnows.
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 Well, that sucks because I don't use minnows. We're gonna see what we can do here. I'm not really sure yet. We just got here. My screen looks dirty. Thing looks dustier than our relationship. Did I say that?
You're getting shady.
I don't know. Alright, so this hasn't turned out very well so far. We actually went fishing earlier and I caught 57 fish, but 30 of them were skipjack and the rest of them were shorts, and it wasn't worth me pulling the video out for. So now we're walking. I have my bag behind me. They're behind me. I've got 2 rods. And we're gonna see what we can go get done before my phone dies or before it gets dark. And if this doesn't work out, I have something else that we need to talk about. It's actually really cool to me. So we might do that if I don't catch anything here. And I don't know, I'm at a place where I've always struggled catching fish. Caught a cat. My cat came from here. So we'll see what happens. They're gonna show up sooner or later, I hope. I need somebody to hold the camera. So the day wasn't a complete bust. I managed one on a crankbait. What do you got to say about this, Brina? Okay. I've been wanting to shoot a video on crankbaits and I haven't done it yet because we've been smashing them on crankbaits, but it might be about time to do so, I think. So that's the biggest thing I've caught today. I honestly thought I wasn't going to catch anything here because I never do. My first bass tournament I fished here, we never left this creek and I didn't catch a fish. Well, I caught fish, I didn't catch a keeper fish. And that one's the first keeper I've ever caught out of this creek. So I'm pretty happy, I think. Big shout out to Fishing FX. I'm going under a pier. Fishing FX for the Bushido fluorocarbon. That stuff is strong. I caught a gar with that yesterday, and I'm going to put it right up here. And it wasn't a baby. And I was fishing rocks and stuff. And that line held up through all of the abrasion and everything a normal line would get. And I still went out and caught more fish without retying because it just straight up didn't get nicked up. I mean, that's all there is to it. Good, it's smooth, and you can catch fish on it, big fish on it. So I'm gonna go back and try to do this again. I'll give you an idea of what I'm doing real quick though first. There's Sabrina with the fish. Give it a kiss. Oh, that fish next to you looks like a 6-pounder.
That's because I'm small.
I know you're small. Okay, bye-bye. Alright, so this is Birdsong Creek on Kentucky. It is probably one of the most fished creeks on Kentucky. And honestly, a lot of the time people don't do that great fishing here. I'm not gonna lie to you. Some guys do if they know the spots. But the highlight of this bridge, or this creek, is there's a bridge right here. It's not like the Spring Creek Bridge that Randy Howell won the Classic off of in 2014, but it's a bridge. And fish like to gang up on these pilings like those two. First time I took my boat out here, we hammered them really good. Didn't even have the big motor running at the time. We just had the trolling motor, and we trolled all the way out here. This is a crankbait I caught it on. Water's kind of dirty, so I gave it kind of a chartreusey brown feel. And that's how I triggered my strike. Another important thing about this bridge is the current is going that way. I was fishing the crankbait that way, which goes against all rules in fishing. Yet they still eat it like that. Every time I've ever fished this bridge, that's the way they've wanted their food. So that's the way I'm gonna keep presenting it to them. Another one on the crankbait. They're really munching this crankbait right now. I'm on them. This is like straight up Bassmaster Classic style 2014. Speaking of which, today is the final day of the Classic. It's probably, I think the tournament's already over. I haven't seen who won, but I'm thinking maybe Edwin got it. Brent Ayler has been in the lead for the whole tournament, so I don't know. Clutch of the moment fish. It's getting dark, and I caught this one on the deep diver, which I just lost, and it was my last one up. But that's a good fish. That's a solid spawning fish right there. So we'll talk about how I caught him back at my desk when I get home. let's get out of here. Okay? Okay. Alright, so that's pretty much how I caught them today. A deep diving crankbait. I went over and showed you the crankbait that I used. It was a cotton cordell. I don't know the name of it. They don't sell them anymore. I can't find them anywhere. I used to get them at the store. Now they don't have them. And that was my last one, and I lost it. So, I went out and got a couple to make up for my loss, but it's still not the same thing. I want to go over more or less the rod specs than anything. You already saw the crankbait I use. Most of the time with a crankbait, you want like especially a deep diver, you want a little bit longer rod, like a 7.3 to a 7.11. Medium heavy, moderate action. You need the moderate action because those treble hooks will come out of the fish's mouth if you use a stiff rod. Moderate action gives it more of a parabolic bend, and you can keep those fish pinned and they won't break off. Here's the difference. I showed you that the current was going the opposite way from where I was casting. And that goes against everything in the rules for bass fishing. That's not the way fish are supposed to set up. They're supposed to set up looking into the current, eating food that goes by. That's not how I caught them today. I caught them doing the exact opposite. So you have to find your own thing to do. And I found my own thing. And you want a parabolic rod, but I'm using, or I was using, and I still will use a 7'4" heavy action rod. Just because I like a heavier rod for that. I feel like whenever I hook them, I get the hooks in the mouth better. And I haven't really lost a fish on it yet, so I'm not going to complain about it. Another thing is the reel. You want a slower reel, like a 5-to-1. Some people use a 6-to-1. I actually use a 7-to-1 most of the time for cranking. I do have a 5-to-1 that I use for smaller crankbaits, but this time I used a 7-to-1, and I just cranked it really, really slowly. As I said earlier, I was using fluorocarbon from fishnfx.com, the Bushido fluorocarbon. You want a lighter fluorocarbon generally for cranking. I was using 12. Some people go up a little bit, but you want lighter line to get maximum depth. Okay, the place I was fishing goes from like 20 feet to nothing, and I wanted to get down in that 20 feet because they were hanging off the 20 feet area on the lip. So I was making a reaction bite. These fish were spawning and they were reacting to the crankbait, which is a good sign. Now, some people like to use really light line, like 8 and 10. 12 is my minimum. I can live with 12. That's about where I draw the line at. As I said, I lost my last crankbait. My last deep diver for that situation. I still have plenty more. This is my crankbait box. It's a little messed up. There's a spinnerbait in there for some reason. There's some topwaters in there, and there's a spy bait in there, which kind of sort of belongs in there. The kind of deep diver I was using was this right here. Just a different color. I really like these, and now I can't find them anymore. But, I can find a ton that look like this. This is a vicious one. Not exactly like that. The DT series is good. I'm a huge fan of Strike King. I have a whole bunch of Strike King crankbaits. Like this one on top. Not that one. That one's from Academy, and it's a good one too. Speaking of Academy, one of the ones I've really grown fond of the past week or so has been this little thing. Bought a ton of them, and they work really well. I think it goes down to like 8 feet. Caught a whole bunch of fish on them, which I will show right up here somewhere. And that's pretty much my deep cranking box. That's the kind of stuff that I keep for these kind of scenarios. I go from natural colors to off the wall, like that chartreuse color for dirty water, stuff like that. Really quick, I also mentioned dirty water. Makes it harder to see. Whenever you have dirty water, you want to use something like a chartreuse color. Some people like solid black crankbaits. I don't own any. And then like the sexy shad color works for me really well. But whenever you get into your clear water, match the forage as closely as you can, like bluegill. If you have shad, you know, Stuff like that, because that's how you'll get them to eat. That's how you get them to react, because they're seeing what they like to eat. So that's pretty much it for this weird little vlog, how-to type of style. We'll talk about crankbaits more later on. But this is how I've been catching them. I've been catching them good on a crankbait. I just haven't got video of it. So, we'll see you next time. I've got a couple cool videos coming out in the next 2 or 3 days that you guys might want to get in on. So, I will see you next time, right here on Kendall Arnold Fishing.